What an emotional day for the Montreal Canadiens and for a couple of guys out of British Columbia. Today, we are diving into the latest on Canadiens forward Brendan Gallagher, as well as a huge trade update on New York Islanders forward Mathew Barzal. I thought that these two guys are related enough to the point where we could make one video about them. Gallagher, of course, has BC connections as he played his minor and junior hockey in British Columbia. Mathew Barzal is from Coquitlam. So for the Vancouver Canucks fan in me that has seen these guys play live at places like Minaroo or at Rogers Arena, obviously I'm very invested into these stories. So let's talk about Brendan Gallagher out of the Montreal Canadiens, because he had himself today a very emotional goodbye to the Montreal Canadiens organization. This is a 1-minute video posted by Priyanka Emrith, and you can just tell. You could feel it in the way Gallagher is talking about the Montreal Canadiens organization as a whole. You could see it at the end with his body language. This is a guy that is going through the motions. But Lego, what exactly did Gallagher say in this video that got him all in his feelings at the end here? Well, Eric Engels goes out there with the most damning quote of them all. Gallagher, very emotional, says, "It's pretty clear I'll be moving on here." Brendan Gallagher, man. The truth hurts sometimes. And for a guy like this, who has been a heart and soul player his entire career, who was never supposed to make the NHL, like, let's be real. Gallagher, 5'9", 183, this guy was a 5th-round draft pick 16 years ago. He was taken in a place in the draft where nobody really expected anything out of these players. Yes, he was very productive in the dub. Yes, he was super, super great, but he was so small. And a lot of people questioned whether or not his overall style of game would translate to the National Hockey League. Spoiler alert, it did. He became a 30-goal scorer, a 50-point scorer with the Montreal Canadiens. You look at the overall career Gallagher has had, 911 NHL games and 487 points. That is not to be scoffed at all. Gallagher has been a heart and soul guy, a fan favorite, a leader, a workhorse, all of these adjectives we can describe Gallagher, and he has been so great the past few years. It's just, these most few recent years, he has definitely declined in play, and the fact that he's making $6.5 million a year till the end of next season makes him a prime trade candidate for the Montreal Canadiens as they build forward. They didn't even use Gallagher in the playoffs. He had 1 game. 3 games. Okay, I take that back. But he didn't have a single game in the 2nd or 3rd round. Brendan Gallagher was more of a leadership figure rather than anything, and you can say that for $6.5 million, that's not really the worthwhile investment for your hockey team. Which is why you go over into teams that Gallagher could be traded to next, and the Vancouver Canucks pop up as one of the biggest destinations. Gallagher spoke about his future, and he said, "Vancouver will be a great place," when asked on playing for another team and the possibility to go back home. Bruh, Gallagher seriously just straight up labeled the Canucks as a potential destination for him and his own playing career. That's great. Rick Dhaliwal tweeted this out: "If you want to improve your culture like the Canucks want to improve their culture, Gallagher does make sense." Oh boy. We already made a bunch of videos about this, so we don't need to really explore it as much as we had in prior videos, but Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks would be a really great fit. Everything works. The leadership style, the desire, what exactly it is Vancouver wants out of this guy. You're not trading for a $6.5 million player at this stage of his career at 34 years old and actually expecting him to be a $6.5 million caliber player, right? You're getting a guy like Gallagher to be a leadership force, to improve the room, to get the vibes up there, and who could also just be a guy that you suit up and have on your team. You're not calling up all these AHL guys. You have at least somebody who knows that he is NHL caliber. Maybe not even like a super top caliber guy anymore. He's not top 6. He wasn't even bottom 6 for Montreal. But Gallagher is a worthwhile presence to bring on, especially if the Montreal Canadiens are willing to make that trade a little sweeter by adding a draft pick or some sort of incentive for the Canucks to take him on. The fact that Gallagher straight up says that Vancouver would be a great place for him to play is pretty telling there, especially after saying that he's moving on from the Canadiens. Now, speaking about moving on from their Eastern Conference teams, let's shift gears over to talk about Mathew Barzal out of the New York Islanders. Less of an update here and more of just a stark shift in direction, because it was tweeted out by NHL Rumor Report, Bruce Garriock, in his article earlier today. A league executive told The Citizen that the Islanders are exploring the market for forward Mathew Barzal. There we go, eh? Another local kid from Coquitlam, BC, who is on the market. Barzal is 6'1", 190, and he's making $9.1 million a year till the end of 2031. A decently beefy deal. It's not the craziest in the world, but it's appropriate for what Barzal provides. He had 72 points in 81 games this most recent season, 20 points in 30 games the year before that, and 80 points in 80 games in 23-24. He is still trying to go out there and best his rookie campaign of 85 points in 82 games played. This season will always stand out as a total anomaly to me because Barzal showed the best that he can do as a 19-year-old? I was about to say an 18-year-old. No, he was not 18. He was drafted in 2015. So 18, 19, 20-year-old. There we go. That's what he was. And that was the last year John Tavares was in New York. So Mathew Barzal had a really great partner to play with. He ended up winning the Calder for the NHL's Rookie of the Year. He beat Brock Besser, which, to be fair, Brock Besser did get hurt at the end of that season because Jake Virtanen left the door open. If Brock played the entire season, I think he would have won, especially if Mathew Barzal wasn't doing the things that he did. But Barzal was never able to replicate that 85-point rookie season that he had. He came close a number of times, but it hasn't really been there. Now, why exactly the Islanders would be interested in trading away Barzal? If I'm trying to answer that question, I don't think I have a good one. I think that the New York Islanders actually had a pretty good wave of offense and success this year, especially with the addition of Matthew Schaefer. It does feel like the Islanders, they could push to become more competitive, and that makes me think, like, okay, why would you be interested in trading away Barzal? Matthew Barzal is 29 years old. Okay, I guess if you wanted to say that your rebuild window or your retool window aligns more with the Schaefers rather than the Barzals, maybe that makes sense in my mind. But in order to get some more insight, let's go over to the Islanders subreddit because they did have a conversation about this as well. Okay, so top comment here, Barzal should not be untouchable. Interesting. If he can net a top defenseman along with maybe a forward prospect or picks, I'd do it easily. He's probably the Islanders' most valuable piece outside of 14 and 48, so seeing what you can get in return during a weak free agency class is fair for Darsh to do. What is perplexing, like you mentioned, is bringing in Palat and Shen while knowing you need to move out salary. The Islanders have a lot of tough-to-move contracts, so I'm not really sure what the long-term vision is there. Lou Lamoriello handed out a lot of years to lock in the core, which all seem to be on the wrong side of the curve, as well as the no-move and no-trade clauses like free candy. He's got a lot of work to purge cap and not a depth of assets to sweeten the pot to dump. What does that even mean? He's got a lot of work to purge cap and not a depth of assets to sweeten the pot to dump. Okay, whatever. Utah makes sense. Darsh is doing his job. It would be sad to see him go, but aside from Schaefer, no one should be untouchable. seems like there's a decent attitude amongst Islanders fans for Barzal getting traded. And with that said, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about these updates here? Gallagher says that he's moving on from Montreal and that Vancouver would be a great destination. Mathew Barzal, apparently on the block. How do you feel about these updates? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.